Before we begin, I want to take a moment to talk about a handy tool I've been using lately, Ground News. Ground News is an app, website, and Chrome extension that allows you to get a new perspective on the news you read. The news outlets of today are more biased than they have ever been, whether right or left leaning, and because of this, they intentionally take a polarized position on any number of newsworthy topics. Worst of all, in today's algorithm-driven world, once you enter one of these spheres of influence, you will continue to only receive news that plays up only a particular side of the narrative. Ground News works to circumvent these issues by making you a smarter news consumer. How do they do this? By showing you the inherent bias in the news that's out there. Take this article, for example. You get the overview of the story, how many sources are reporting on it, and where on the political spectrum these sources are. As you can see, this topic is mostly being reported on by center and right sides of the spectrum. You can also see the breakdown of the ownership for each article between independent media, wealthy private owners, and media conglomerates. Finally, you get a breakdown of the factuality of these sources from low to high. All of this information leads to you making more informed decisions on the news you read and helps develop a more well-rounded worldview. Go to ground.news/Enigma to stay fully informed on breaking news, compare coverage, and avoid media bias. Sign up or subscribe through my link for 30% off unlimited access. I think you'll find it as useful as I do, and thank you to Ground News for sponsoring this video. Hey there, folks. Crater Lake National Park is known for a number of mysterious disappearances. Among them is the disappearance of Sammy Boehlke, a well-known missing 411 case. It is a case that caught my interest because I wanted to know how this young child could disappear so completely. Well, as usual, we'll go over the facts of the case and see if it really is as mysterious as it's made out to be. Samuel Boehlke, commonly known as Sam or Sammy, was an 8-year-old boy who lived with his parents, Kenneth and Kirsten, in Portland, Oregon. Though he was never formally diagnosed, it was assumed that Sam had a mild form of autism, which presented itself in a number of ways. His mother described him as having a passionate personality bordering on stubborn. He also had a fear of loud noises and bright lights, which could cause him to run and hide. He had an affinity for hiding in small spaces, being an expert at playing hide and seek. Otherwise, he was an average child who liked to eat corn dogs and mac and cheese, drink root beer, and play with Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Legos. He had a special interest in pirates and dragons, and loved to fish, hike, and play outdoors. Sam's parents had divorced a year prior in 2005, and in October of 2006, Kenneth Boehlke decided to take Sam on a trip to Crater Lake National Park. The two stayed at the Diamond Lake Resort on the outskirts of the park. It was Saturday, October 14th, that Kenneth decided to take Sam into the park to go hiking or sightseeing. They enjoyed their time in Crater Lake, but as the day began to come to a close, they were heading east along Rim Drive, which circles the lake itself. It was about 4:30 p.m. as they came upon the Cleetwood Cove area. Kenneth pulled off to the side of the road just a few hundred yards past the Cleetwood Cove parking lot in order to take in the view. On the south side of the road was a steep drop-off leading down to the lake. To the north was a steep dirt slope leading into the forest. As the two got out of their vehicle, Sam thought he saw some yellow in the soil of the hillside, which he had hoped might be some gold. Sam ran up the hill in search of whatever he saw. Darkness was coming in soon, and Kenneth did not want to linger in the area, so he called for Sam to come down the slope, but Sam refused. At that point, Kenneth ran up the hill to catch Sam, but Sam, likely thinking this was some sort of game, ran off into the woods, keeping well ahead of his father. By the time Kenneth crested the top of the hill, Sam had vanished completely. Kenneth searched the area, but was unable to find anything, so he flagged down a passing vehicle to call 911. More than 200 searchers participated in the operation to find Sam. The area was scoured using dogs, helicopters, and heat-sensing cameras. Because of his fear of loud noises and bright lights, air horns and whistles could not be used by searchers. In a situation where he was faced with such stimuli, Sam would run, hide, and cover his ears. Though Sam was wearing a winter coat, t-shirt, and cargo pants, the cold weather that hits Crater Lake every night was of significant concern. Eventually, Sam's mother, Kirsten, showed up at Crater Lake, but neither her nor Sam's father, Kenneth, were allowed to assist in the search out of fear their scent may throw off the dogs. Instead, they were forced to sit and wait at a duplex near park headquarters where they would get updates twice a day on the search progression. Searchers lined up along Rim Drive Road for a quarter mile and then walked into the woods looking into crevices and under logs, but found nothing. Search dogs were able to pick up the occasional scent of Sam, but never for any long period of time that indicated his path of travel. Rafts and boats were used to search the shoreline of Crater Lake itself out of fear that Sam may have doubled back and fallen down the steep slopes of the crater. The Park Service felt this outcome seemed unlikely, however, because many obstacles at the top of the slope would have prevented a fall. Snow and wind conditions hampered the search throughout, with up to 6 inches of snow falling in a single day on at least one occasion. Searchers had to endure these freezing temperatures. Finding Sam alive at that point would have been a miracle. By October 21st, the initial 200 searchers had been scaled back to just 35, as hopes of finding Sam dwindled. Winter weather was fast approaching, and given the heavy snowfall Crater Lake receives every year, the search was not able to continue on for any extended period. By October 23rd, after 9 days, the formal search for Sam Boehlke ended, with nothing of him having been found. The lack of resolution weighed on the minds of Sam's parents, who vowed to continue the search when the winter snows melted. The only thing left behind in the search area was a piece of pink ribbon wrapped around a snag that marked the point Sam was last seen. Throughout the entire incident, it was widely reported that foul play was never seriously considered. Since the initial incident, multiple attempts have been made to go back and search the area to try and find Sam's remains. None have ever been successful. It comes as no real surprise that the disappearance occurred in the fashion it did. Some interesting insight into Sam's behavior comes from a woman named Kim Calamay, the director of the Sellwood Community Center which Sam attended. She said, "He does have a tendency to take off. It didn't surprise any of us that he got out of the car and took off. It's just a game to him." Kim recounted an incident that occurred 2 years prior to his disappearance, where a group of children were playing hide and seek and Sam could not be found. In fact, Sam hid so well that camp staffers had to call the police and fire department to come and look for him. Sam was only found after his mom arrived and screamed, "Sam, you won. You're the best hider." Then he popped out from behind a tree. This incident occurred at Sellwood Park in the city of Portland, and even after calling in all these resources, he wasn't found until he willingly gave himself up. Kim also told of how Sam liked to dig, and she was worried he might have dug himself in somewhere and was hiding. It is highly likely that Sam believed he was participating in a game during the initial stage of his disappearance. Given the scale of the area where he was playing this game, the possibilities of where Sam could potentially hide are endless. But that's always best seen with our own eyes. So let's pay a visit to Crater Lake and the area where Sam disappeared. Crater Lake is without a doubt one of the most beautiful views you will ever see. The crater is the result of the collapsed remnants of an ancient volcano. Today it is a lake with some of the bluest water you'll ever see. The area we are most interested in lies to the northeast of the crater, in the Cleetwood Cove area. Even though I came here at the height of summer, the road past Cleetwood Cove was still closed due to snow and debris. This meant that I was not able to physically drive to the spot where Sam ran up the hill. From the roadblock, you can still see the steep dirt incline on the north side of the road. I was still just a few hundred yards from the location. Across from the parking lot is the Cleetwood Cove trailhead. This is the only way for the public to access the lake. The trail itself is a set of switchbacks that climb down the caldera. The climb back up could be quite strenuous for those who are a bit out of shape. Once you are at the bottom, however, there is a boat dock and plenty of places to go swimming. While I was there, many people chose to take a dip in the crystal blue waters of Crater Lake. It seems unlikely that Sam would have made it down this way. If he had fallen down the slopes of the caldera, it's possible his body could have gotten stuck somewhere out of sight. But the area was pretty well covered by searchers who rappelled down the steep slopes, and those who searched the shoreline. So let's go back up to the top of the trailhead. So the road past Cleetwood Cove is closed today. So we can't get to the exact spot where Sammy ran off the road. But I can show it to you and show you a rough approximation of what it looked like, because there are many such hills in this area that are very, very similar to what Sammy ran up, which is just basically a steep grade off the side of the road. He ran in the opposite direction of the lake and went out into the woods. And I'll show you what that looks like. This is the type of incline Sam climbed up to disappear from his father. Once you enter the thick forest, you can vanish rather quickly. Just because the road past Cleetwood Cove is closed doesn't mean we can't get up into the woods where the search area is. That can easily be done by just going into the parking lot of Cleetwood Cove and walking out into the woods. It's the exact area where the search was, including this whole area. They searched about 1.5 miles out, probably more at some point, because they weren't having any success. So I'm just going to start wandering into the woods, show you what it looks like at the area where Sammy ran up the hill and disappeared. Bear with me. Hey there, folks. Currently in the search area where Sammy was lost and where they were looking for him. It's pretty wooded, lots of insects, hills. So after Sammy became lost, his dad searched this area for about an hour. After that, he flagged down a car for help. The big problem was that Sammy probably thought he was playing hide and seek with his dad. And so, even when searchers got on site, who's to say that if Sammy even saw a searcher or his dad, that he didn't think the game was still on and just continue hiding? That's a big problem. We don't know that he would have stayed in one spot. You know, he liked to play hide and seek. And hopefully when he realized that the game was over, you would hope that he would try and find help. But at the same time, how far did he go? How much did he become lost? This area is really thickly wooded. Lots of little places to hide, and that's another problem because Sammy liked to hide. Especially if he was lost and scared. And this was a really unique search because they couldn't whistle, they couldn't blow horns, they couldn't yell out his name because they were worried that they would scare him off even further. This is what kind of makes this case just a really unfortunate event. It was really unique. Usually you're not dealing with someone who runs away from sounds, because when you're lost and you're looking for help, you're looking to hear sounds. You're trying to find a way out. Walking around this area is tough, but it was different during that time. I'm here in summer, as is typical when I shoot these videos. It's really hot out. During the time Sammy was lost, it was really cold. Right now, there's tons of insects everywhere, just attacking you. It's hot out. The area's not too difficult to traverse. I mean, there are a lot of hills and some things you have to crawl up, but I don't know, I've seen worse. Problem is, a child could navigate this area pretty well, especially one 8 years old. It's no telling how far Sammy could have gotten because he was really good at hide and seek. There's evidence of that, and there's evidence that there was a time prior where he was playing hide and seek and no one could find him, and they had to call police to bring him, hopefully find him. And then I feel really bad for Sam Boehlke because he never found his son out here, and they tried real hard. It's just one of those things. It's a combination of factors between Sammy's behavior, the terrain out here, the fact that there are a lot of places to hide. There's lava tubes, all kinds of caves and crevices that people aren't aware of. The secret reason you're seeing so many cuts in this video is because I keep getting attacked by swarms of insects and I have to battle them. It's pretty intense out here, but I'm gonna keep walking around. You know, it's one of those things where, of course, you hope you stumble upon something. You hope you stumble upon a piece of cloth, a bone, you know, as grim as that would be, you know, but it would be nice to put an end to a mystery like this one. But I don't expect to find anything that over 200 searchers couldn't at the time. And you know, we're over 15 years on now and still nothing. Though I doubt many people come wandering around this area. There's not really a reason to. But I'm glad we could come here and shine some light on this disappearance and also show you the area. It is a breathtaking area. Crater Lake in general is breathtaking. It's so great to be here, even though the circumstances are grim. And I'm going to give my usual recommendation that you should not go off trail unless you have a GPS. Try and always carry a personal locator beacon if you're wandering around in the woods. Do your best to stay safe, even if you're experienced. It seems by far the most likely scenario that Sam made his way off into the woods somewhere to the north of Rim Drive and died in the woods from exposure. While his initial intention may have been to play a game with his father, at some point he likely would have realized the game was over. Given his past, I could easily see a scenario where Sam found some place to hide, whether that be under a log or a rock overhang or even in a crevice somewhere. All searchers kept an eye out for child's footprints in the snow, and on multiple occasions tracks were spotted, but they always turned out to be in animals. The lack of any tracks also supports a theory that Sammy found a place to hide and stayed there. Sam's parents told searchers that he would hide under things whenever he was uncomfortable. The question is, did he find a place within the search area, or was he able to walk farther than anyone would have expected? I imagine most people would say the mysterious part about this case is the fact that Sam was never found. He's still out there to this day. But is it so mysterious, when we know he could hide so well in a city park that nobody could find him? Maybe it is, or maybe it isn't. We do have to consider that this child had an incredible ability to hide himself if he wanted to. And if I were searching for an explanation as to how this case had the outcome that it did, that fact is staring me right in the face. To me, this event was a culmination of unfortunate and unique circumstances, which all led up to a terrible outcome. As always, I'd be interested to know your take on the case. And until next time, thanks for watching.